Good evening and welcome to Spark of Light Spiritual Chat Show. Tonight we have a lovely guest, international medium psychic Bill Hughes, and my name is Alice Trevorrow and I will be your host this evening. So I'm quite excited tonight to have Bill Hughes onto the show. Bill, I've seen his work and he's a great medium. And he has diversified to many different countries. And next year, 2024, he will be traveling to Austria. So that'll be very exciting. And I'm sure we'll have him back on the show to find out how that traveling and journey was for him. But Bill has been a psychic medium for many years, and he was also on SPTV. And it was the show he actually had, I'm just double checking it, was Collective Consciousness on SPTV, where I actually was on the show as well at one point. And I have watched many of his shows, and he's a lovely, lovely guy. He's so welcoming, friendly, and he just makes you feel so at ease. So I'm so excited to have Bill on tonight. And without any further ado, I think we should just have Bill Hughes on now, and we can have a chat and find out where his journey all began for him. Hi Bill.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you, Alice?
I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. It's great to have you. It's great to have you onto my show. Thank you so much for coming on. And I watched your work, and your work is great. You know, you transfix into just another kind of bubbly character of you would never think that what you do is what you do, you know, because you're so good at diversifying everything. I know you do churches, centers, you do events as well, so you kind of do it all, plus had your own show as well, so you've kind of had that whole mix, haven't you, to do with your spiritual work. But where did it all begin for you, Bill? Where did this journey begin for you? Was it childhood or was it later on in life?
My awareness was childhood. Thank you, by the way, Alice, for inviting me onto your show. I'm very humbled to be here with you and sharing space once again. It's lovely to be able to share space with you. I'm deviating. It started in my childhood, around about the age of 11, when my own father passed to spirit. Oh. And it was about 6 months after Dad had passed that I started to experience seeing and sensing and hearing and feeling. And it wasn't really, or it didn't really come to fruition until one evening. I used to suffer from very bad nosebleeds as a child, and I had a nosebleed one evening and called out to Mum, and Mum came up the stairs and she went to sit on a certain part of the bed, and I said, Dad always sits there. That's where Dad sits. Mm-hmm. And she went as white as the bed sheet, minus the blood specks, of course. And she said, what do you mean? I said, oh, that's where Dad sits when he comes to visit me. And I think for Mum, that was really difficult to process at that particular time. And it wasn't until we had a family discussion with my sister, she encouraged Mum to take me to a local Spiritualist church. Mm-hmm. And by visiting, we became aware of the understandings of what were happening around me. And for many years throughout my childhood into my teens and my early years as a younger gentleman, I would always go to a church and I would just sit in the ambience and the space, the energy, watch demonstrations of mediumship, never aspiring to do so. And then it wasn't until, fast forward, I hit my early 40s, again, another life-changing event happened. And Spirit stepped in and said, right, we're taking over now. It's about time that you started to fine-tune what you understand. So I sat a development I sat 2 development circles for 4 years, twice weekly religiously, before Spirit gave me the prompt and the indication that it's time for you to get out there and do things publicly. So that's a little bit of history about me there, Alice, in a nutshell.
Yeah. And, I've got great sympathy for you, because 11 years of age to lose your father is so young. It's so young, but how beautiful as well that he was still trying to connect with you and let you know, in the innocence of your childhood, I'm still here, Dad. I'm still here, and I think that's lovely. I think that's really, really nice. You wouldn't be frightened of it, because you would feel that presence and that essence of Dad, and there is no fear really when you're so young. We come in with that innocence, don't we?
Absolutely.
So I mean, that is lovely. And I'm sure your mum must be proud as well, or must have been proud of you, as you developed your journey into who you are now.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for who I am now. I'm very grateful for those events that happened within my life. People probably look at that and think, what's he talking about? He's a bit bonkers. But I think it takes massive changes. Sometimes, not with everybody, but I think it takes those massive changes, especially for us light workers, us mediums, psychics, spiritual healers. It happens to create that impact where we tap into that sense of empathy and understanding and appreciation. And I think that gives us more of a deeper insight when we are working mediumistically and we're connecting with members of the public and we're working with their loved ones from the spirit realms, because we've experienced that, we've been there, and we've done it.
That's right. Yeah. So when you did start going out to work for Spirit World, I take it was churches and centres that you started with first. So how did you find that? Did you find that daunting? I know I did at first.
Do you know, I still do. Alice. Every time I go up onto platform, I feel physically sick. The conscious mind kicks in and it plays games with you, because we care what it is that we're delivering, and we don't want to get it wrong. So the churches and centres were the starting point for me. But do you know what? I think, and any medium will probably resonate with this as well, I think when you've done the first few, you get that bug. You get that bite, and you want to do more, and you want to be able to reach as many people as you possibly can. And that kind of like takes away a certain element of the nerves. And it's all good practice at the end of the day, because, it teaches us more about ourselves, more about our awareness, more about what it is that we are doing when we're delivering. Because at the end of the day, even now, when I go up onto platform and I demonstrate, I can still take something away from that evening or that particular dem. So we're always consciously, actively still learning with Spirit.
Oh, absolutely. Every single day is a learning curve with Spirit World, and for me, when I went out at first, my legs were shaking like a leaf. Me up on the platform talking, bringing in Spirit World. I couldn't believe it myself, and yet I've always, like you, I've always had that connection with them, but that was different because that was private. But now you were sharing it to other people, and then when you realize how much you're doing to help other people with the connection with Spirit World, changes your whole perspective of it, because you just then start getting yourself out the road and start thinking, hey, I'm here to do a job for Spirit World, and I need to do this right. So your whole perspective changes then onto it. But from there with you, I mean, I know you do a lot of public events as well, and public events is completely different to churches and centres. So I actually get more nervous with that. Is that strange? But I do get more nervous with it because I'm not. I believe it or not, I'm actually quite shy. You know, you might not believe that, but I actually am. I actually am. You know, so and it is different. You know, it's different because when you work in a church or a centre, the people who come, they're the people that they know what they're coming for. You know, and you know they're there and they understand the process of it. But when you're maybe working at an event, you're not. There's that little bit of anticipation of, ooh,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when we demonstrate in spiritualist churches and centres, 99% of the congregation are people that believe and they have the same understandings as ourselves. When you do a public event, you have those that will sit within the audience or the congregation that maybe don't have the same understandings, awareness or beliefs as ourselves,
that's right.
who do want to try, who do want to push your boundaries. So yes, I totally get what you mean with regards to the differentiation between the two. But the way that I always look at it is that whoever is meant to be there on that night are the people that should be. They will be guided to go. Spirit will take them for a purpose. So I tend to kind of like try to push as much of that apprehension to one side and focus on the positivity of sharing the love of Spirit with those that have come with the intent for that to be done. So
well, Bill, we've got a few people on just now because I know this is going live on podcast and it will be live on Thursday, Spotify podcast. At the moment it's live on YouTube, but it's also live on Facebook. So we do have some recipients actually here. We've got Joanne Ripper. Welcome, Joanne. It's lovely to have you here. And she's saying good evening, everyone, and hope you're well. We've got Jim here as well. We've got Chrissy, who's saying hello. Alice, Bill, and everyone. I'll put that on the show. Hello, Alice, Bill, and everyone. I hope you're all well. So hope you're well as too. Thank you so much for putting that thought out. Oh, it's a he. I'm saying it's a she. I have man flu, no illness like it, lol. I thought it was okay, right, okay, all right, okay. Hope you get better. Hope you get better soon. So people are just starting to come in, but we'll continue on with our chat, and perhaps if we get more people coming on, you'll be able to give a little example of your work tonight, and for people to get that kind of viewing from it, those who don't know. So continuing on a little bit, I know you then went on to SPTV, which is a great show for absolutely publishing lots of mediums and psychics, and and getting that out there as well. Is a good show that does that, and I know you were on that. I know you're still on it, but you are going to be stopping working there. But you've been there for what, 3.5 years or something, is that right?
Yeah, I started with SPTV 3.5 years ago. A channel that basically does what it says, which is bringing spiritual people together. And it's a fantastic channel because there's such a diversity of shows that kind of like tailor to everybody. So from astrology to zodiacs, psychic to mediumistic, chat shows, healing influences, cards, tarot readings. That the list is endless. But for me, I joined SP. I was very fortunate to have the invitation to join SPTV with the concept of bringing a fortnightly show to the platform, where it's uniting myself and another medium. And of course, you've been on the show yourself as a guest, which was absolutely fantastic and a privilege to share the platform. It was lovely. It was a great evening, Alice. So yeah, I mean, collective consciousness evolved purely from a tarot reading that my sister gave me about 6 months earlier. So she was reading my cards. And yeah, my sister's a fantastic tarot reader, psychic herself. In fact, you know, I would go as far as saying a medium, but she doesn't want to have that title just yet. But she was giving me a tarot reading, and Spirit dropped something into her head, and she said, "Oh," she said, "I've just had collective consciousness come into my mindset." She said, "Remember we've spoken about that?" So I said, "Okay," and I jotted it down in my notes in my phone. Didn't think anything else. And 6 months later, Richard, the producer from SPTV, contacted me and said, "Hey Bill, I'd like to invite you onto the channel and offer you a fortnightly slot with a show which is purely dedicated to mediumship." He said, "What are your thoughts?" I said, "I've got the name, I know what it is straight away." And he said, "What is it?" And I said, "Collective consciousness." He said, "That sounds great." He said, "All you've got to do now is come up with a concept for the show." So together we kind of like threw a few ideas out there and came up with the idea of, you know, let's unite mediums, let's share the virtual platform, and let's see and prove just how willing Spirit are to work with two individuals delivering a message for the one recipient viewer from all different parts of the world. So, you know, we've had guests on the show from America, from Australia. We've had guests from the UK dotted all over the UK and Ireland. And we've been very fortunate that it's worked.
Yeah. I've worked in Ireland as well. Whereabouts were you in Ireland then when you were working?
I
Was it northern or southern?
No,
west.
The west
Oh, was
of
it
Ireland.
west? Was it? Yeah. It was Southern Ireland I worked. But I will be doing some work in Northern Ireland next year. You know, so yeah. But the Irish are so friendly, aren't they? They're so friendly and welcoming as well. You know, so but you're going to Austria next year. So wow, look at you. Yeah.
I am. So Austria came off, ironically, this year, and you know, you must know yourself, Alice. We have our team meetings with those upstairs, okay, when we sit within our silence or we sit within our power, and we have our own conversations, let's say. And I've been going against the grain. I've not been listening, and Spirit was saying to me, it's time to just step back from SPTV, give it a bit of a break. And they kept showing me openings, they kept showing me door openings, but I kept being dismissive, just continued, just carried on rolling. As you do, because obviously it's routine, and you know, there's part of me that still doesn't want to leave the channel, but I know that you know, we have to take breaks, we have to listen to the guidance that Spirit are telling us in order to experience new opportunities. And the day that I decided to discuss with Richard about retiring the show, obviously with his blessing, I popped it out there on social media after we decided the date that I'd be leaving the channel, and put it out on social media. 2 days later, I was at the lovely Fulham Spiritualist Church, which you are very familiar with yourself.
Oh, I love Fulham.
It's a beautiful church, isn't it? And
Derek, if you're listening.
yeah, hello Derek, if you're watching, and Caroline as well, and everybody else. I know. And I was doing a demonstration of mediumship there, and I went to two ladies who were in the congregation, gave one of them a message, and there was a gentleman that was just sitting on the end of the pew, And there were certain things that they couldn't understand because they were from another country. So he kind of like translated, or he broke it down simplistically for them to understand. Anyway, during the halftime break, he came up and introduced himself. That's Martin Jones, you probably know, as a medium.
Yes.
And he said, "Hi, Bill." He said, "I just want to introduce myself. I'm Martin Jones. The two ladies that are sitting with me, and the lady that you gave a message to, just wanted me to express her gratitude for a lovely message." And I said, "Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for for letting me know." And I didn't think nothing else of it, Alice.
Yeah.
Next day, Martin gives me a message through Messenger. It says, "When you get this, could you please give me a call?" So I did, and he said, "The two ladies that were with me run a spiritualist centre over in Austria, and they want you. They want you over next year." So yeah, off of the back of that, I'd announced I was bringing SPT, Collective Consciousness,
Yes.
SPTV, to a closure. 2 days later, the invitation dropped in. So it was almost like Spirit was saying to me, "There you go. You're not listening. Look, this is what we've been trying to tell you." So I truly believe as one door closes, another one opens.
It does. It does. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I was a nurse, and you probably know that I was a nurse for a long while. And the door shut there for me due to health reasons. And another door opened, another door opened. So I'm helping people in a different way, and I love doing what I do. Love doing what I do. But I've got a question, I think, coming in, because I have put that up. I'll put it up because it's quite a long one. So let's just have a wee look. Okay, this is from Jim. I just wondered how I would go about learning more about the spirit world and the work that you do. I've been aware of my abilities for some time, but it is only now I've started to hone in on them, and it's very overwhelming. What advice would you maybe give there to Jim?
Jim, I would say, my friend, the first thing is to find a very well-established development circle. And if you're not too familiar with development circle or what that terminology is, it's a classroom. It's a medium's classroom. You can generally find them in local spiritualist churches or centres where they run them weekly or fortnightly with teachers that are very much aware of how to help nurture and develop and give you insight to what your understandings, feelings, emotions are. So that would probably be my advice, first step. If you can't find a church or centre based development circle, there are other mentors out there that maybe would teach from home. But again, it's finding the right circle that sits within the ethos and your own understandings. If you're aspiring, for example, to be a platform demonstrator, then you will need to understand the learnings within that church-based environment, because where some are affiliated, for example, the SNU, there are the principles that we need to learn. There's this philosophy side of things, address, opening prayer, closing prayer. So there's a lot of content that you will go through during your learning phase, and it's not a quick 5-minute fix as most people assume. I mean, as I said, for myself, I sat 2 circles twice weekly for 4 years before Spirit gave me the indicator that it was time to go out and serve. So I hope that can be of some use to you there, Jim.
Yeah, I was a bit like that as well. I sat in a circle when I was 17, and then I stopped when I was about 21, or maybe 20, and then went into my nursing career. And then you could pull back in again when I was in my 30s, and then I continued on wanted to get my degree, and then pulled back in again. After Mum passed, and then I was working as a nurse and doing this both at the same time for quite a few years. Spirit kind of, they know when it's right for you to be doing it full time, and they know when you're not quite ready. So you are kind of juggling a few things,
Very
until
much.
they decide, okay, that's you, the door's open now, you're going full on now.
Yeah,
and it is, isn't it? It's just having that leap of faith and trust, even although you may think at the time your world is collapsing round about you. Actually, it's not. There's a new plan happening, and there's a new door opening if you just trust and believe. And it's because as soon as, and you know this yourself, as soon as one door closes, the other one's there to open, but you didn't see that, you didn't know, it's lovely. It is lovely.
I think sometimes we have to have our fingertips burned, Alice, in order to understand and trust, like you say, trust the process.
Yeah, definitely. It's all part of the growing and learning in this life. I always call this Earth School of Learning, because it is, you're learning all the time, aren't you? You're learning all the time.
Very much so.
Yeah. So Mary has come on as well. So welcome, Mary. Mary's come on. So if anyone's got any questions, please put a little comment on, and we can maybe answer that for you, or Bill can answer it for you. If anyone's got any questions, remember to like and share, please, because Bill will be doing a reading, maybe one or two, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it's meant to go. So if you can, just like and share and spread the word. And also remember, it's all right to like, and it's also free to subscribe onto YouTube, Spark of Light Spiritual Chat Show page, and also the podcast is the same. It's Spark of Light Spiritual Chat Show podcast, and Spotify. It's free to subscribe. Just helps, doesn't it, Bill? It just helps. The subscriptions all help,
Absolutely.
It just all helps, And anyone wants to contact Bill, you're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And also, I've got your Facebook address there. If anyone wants to get in touch as well, I'll leave that on there just now. So yes. Oh, there you go. So Tracy's put on. We'll put that on. The information tonight has been very helpful. I'm sure it has, because there's a lot of people as well that that they maybe want to ask questions with mediums, but they don't know them, so they find it a bit hard to just go up and say, "Excuse me, but how did you start your development? What happened? What was your journey?" So I suppose it's quite good in that aspect.
I mean, the main thing to remember here, guys, is that no question is a silly question, because we've all been there. We've all been there. We've had to start somewhere. So no question is a silly question. And when I'm teaching myself, Alice, I always say to my group of students, it doesn't matter how many times we have to go over the same thing. If it takes us 10 times to do that one topic and nail it, I'd rather do it 10 times than just do it the once, and you come away from that not feeling complete or incomplete. So I would rather people ask the same question time over time and answer that until they totally get it and it sinks in. I don't know if I've gave you this question. I think this is a different one though. Oh yeah, that's Jim is answered. I've not thought about it on that side of the coin. I'm just interested in understanding what it is that attracts spirit to me and why. I feel more than I see and hear so more clear sentence. I hear so more clear
Oh, clairaudience, you mean? I'm brand new to all this, and so it's not something I've even considered before. Thank you for your advice; it's much appreciated. I think, though, that you don't really know what you what you want at that stage, do you?
No,
You know,
absolutely. I know
and
that when I went into it, if somebody would have said to me at the beginning of those 4 years of that journey of learning, you're going to stand up on platform and deliver messages, I would have said to them, are you mad? Are you
yeah,
absolutely bonkers? Because
that's
as you
right.
rightly said,
That's right.
you know, like the confidence, and we
Yeah,
build on confidence, as you know, through
yeah,
our learnings, but also through doing and
yes,
publicly demonstrating.
yeah,
But if somebody had said that to me at the beginning, oh, you're going to be a platform medium and you're going to be
yeah.
demonstrating in 4 years' time, I would have said, absolutely no way whatsoever. I just went into that initial circle of development because I had an awareness, as Jim's just rightly said there himself. So it resonates. I went into that to get an understanding, get a deeper understanding of why I'm feeling, sensing, smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing. And it just evolved from there. So Alice said the right words there, Jim, a few minutes ago. Trust the process. Find that leap of faith. Take yourself in through the doors of that spiritualist church or centre, or indeed that private home that may offer support with regards to development, and just embrace the journey and see where it takes you, because spirit
Yeah.
got a plan.
Yeah, totally. Um, there's also a point. Oh, there's. I'll put this on for you. Um, Bill gave me a message from my brother once, and he said, "Your brother said about a tree in front of him at his resting place that he was worried about 2 days later. The tree fell down, missing my brother's grave and headstone. It was absolutely spot on. It was reported on the village Facebook page where my brother lived,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, and you'd picked that up from obviously her brother,
Absolutely.
um, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
sometimes when we get given specifics through that
yeah,
discussion and that blend with spirit, not everything immediately can make sense with the sitter. And that's fine. That's
that's right,
absolutely fine, because I always say if it doesn't sit particularly well with you at this moment in time,
that's
I
right.
never change it. I would never try
No,
to change anything and make it fit. I will go with what it is that spirit share with me. I sit with that 100% wholeheartedly. If the sitter cannot take that information immediately, I always say to them, just remember that we've discussed this and hold on to it, because spirit are intelligent and sometimes they give us information that
that's
doesn't
right.
quite happen immediately or has happened. And sure enough, I think it was Chrissy you said there, um,
Yeah,
from her reading, 2 days
yeah,
later, it came to fruition. So,
yeah, yeah. But it's so true, though. It is so true. When I can remember years ago getting a reading, and I thought afterwards, it was a very well-known medium actually, and I thought none of that makes sense to me, and I was a bit disappointed because I thought, none of that is right. It was all right. Every part of it was right. And
wow.
I soon ate my words about a year later. So I learned, but I was very young at the time. But I learned from that it's not always what you want, it's what you need.
Absolutely. And we
Yeah.
can, we can never guarantee. Again, it's always something that I say before I start a public demonstration. We can never guarantee that we will make that connection with that one in particular person that maybe somebody has come along to maybe hope to hear from on that evening, afternoon, whenever it is that we're demonstrating. And the purpose of that is quite simple. The time might not be right. The medium might not be right.
Yeah,
Because spirit
that's right.
spirit can be as selective as we can down here on the earth plane. If you don't
Mhm.
resonate with somebody, you won't have that discussion. So
That's
I always say that whoever it is that gets off of the spiritual bus behind me, I always say, I'm stood at a spiritual bus stop. This is how I put it in simplistic terms. I'm stood at the spiritual bus stop. Whoever it is that gets off of that bus behind me today is the correct person to convey the message that you need to hear presently.
That's true. That's so true. That's so true. What would you say now? You hear a lot of, I just want your opinion on this. The veil's thinning. The veil's getting thinner between our world and spirit world. What's your thoughts on that?
I've never really got into deep thought about that, if I'm honest.
No.
Alice. For me, there's two worlds. There's our world, there's the spirit world, and spirit are going to get through and they're going to connect regardless of how thick or thin the veil may be. I mean, there are certain times throughout the year where they say the veil is thinner. Let's say, for example, Halloween. That's a classic example. But for me, I've never really given that much deep thought, because, you know, when you're working with spirit, they step up and they'll come in as and when you need them to do so at the right time.
Yeah. I think probably more now than, well, when I was younger. I'd say people are more receptive to it now.
Yeah.
They're wanting more. They're wanting to find out more. Whereas perhaps not as much when I was younger. And certainly my gran, who was a medium, her time, it was all behind closed doors, you know. So, you know, none of that was ever expanded out with. And, you know, so it was all in closed doors. But now it is more freely getting spoken about. People are wanting to know more. People are, I mean, all of this in itself, us talking about it, that would not have happened years ago, you know. So the world is changing in some aspect of, people want more, they know there's more, they want to find out about it. And I even think as well, there's a lot of scientists now that have got certain parts of it they can't answer, you know, and they're trying to find out a little bit more, but then they're coming back to square one again on, you know, consciousness does exist, you know.
Absolutely.
Consciousness is there, the brain consciousness, you know, it's there and it's expanding, it's there. Energy doesn't die.
No.
Love
never
doesn't die.
No, absolutely.
It's always there.
And I think you're right. I've noticed, especially with the younger generation now, they are a lot more conscious and they are evolving a lot more faster than we ever did as children.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that helps, because they're now coming from generations of parentage where it's not a taboo subject, where those parents are maybe a little bit open or receptive to that understanding. I mean, I know from my own experience with my own children, they were dual faith raised. So their mother was from a Catholic religious upbringing. And I was always very conscious, as I said, from a young age, of spiritualism. So when my children were younger and they were having those conversations with those imaginary friends, I would probe, who are you talking to? What do they look like? How are they dressed? What's their name? Where did they come from? So I kind of like put that openness into their mindsets, so that it wasn't, because, you know, my mum, when I first told her that I was seeing spirit, I kind of like got a clip around the ear and said, you're going cranky. But that's, you know, that was my mum's generation. Whereas my children, I was a little bit more open and receptive. And, you know, when they were growing, they would say, oh, Dad's doing his juju magic, because that was the only way that they could explain it, you know, in a child's mind. But yeah, I think the younger and the younger generation is so much more actively involved in wanting to know about crystals and the
Yeah,
properties of crystals and what it is that they can do and the
yeah,
emittance and the energies from them. So I do think that we are evolving with more of a broader understanding and more
hmm,
of an acceptance, and whether or not that would be considered to the veil thinning slightly, hey ho, who knows?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it is interesting, and you're right. Younger children now, wow, they're way ahead of us when we were children, way ahead.
Yeah,
So it does think, well, what's the next generation going to bring to the world? So there's this expansion that's growing all the time.
we are
Which is
going to,
actually, it's lovely to see. It's lovely to witness.
yeah.
Um, but we have got quite a few people on, and there's a few people. Wait, can you see the comments there?
I'm
Can you
I'm
see?
going to switch over to my chat
Yeah.
function because I'm using a mobile phone here.
Oh, are you? Oh,
I
you're brave.
am.
You're
I
very
am.
brave. Oh, yeah. So yeah. So there's a few people who would like a message who are on. So
Right.
if you feel up to it, Bill,
Let's have a look.
we're open to receiving.
Absolutely. Let's have a look and
Hi,
see who
Kira,
it is that I've
Kaza,
got.
Tracy.
Do you know what? I'm instantly drawn to Kaza. Instantly
Okay,
drawn to Kaza.
okay.
As soon as I read her name, I was very conscious of a lady just stepping forward from spirit side to be here with us this evening. And she comes in with a beautiful embrace of love to wrap around Kaza at this moment in time. And I also feel and understand with her, she starts to just give me somewhat more of an understanding of herself. I want to come in with a great level of partnership here, please, Kaza. So you would understand about there being a partner that's transitioned and passed over to spirit world at a young, what I would depict to be a young age. She passed and transitioned before her time. I do feel with this lady as well that I'm somewhat of a very no nonsense individual. I say it as it is, and you can either take it or leave it. And that's the way that she just works within the context of my mind at this moment in time. So if you can just give feedback, and hopefully Alice will be able to place. Ah, there we go. You're doing it already before I've even said. So 49. So I'm assuming she was 49, God love her, when she passed over to spirit, and she was your beautiful fiance Suzanne. There we go. Don't feed the medium too much, however, because you can see he is very well fed. Give me yes answers and validate what you're answering yes to. Give me no answers. Well, don't give me no answers. I don't like no's, but I have to take them on one of the chins. If it is a no, absolutely, and if it's a maybe, it just means I've got to work that little bit harder. But she just gives me a sense, God love her, of me feeling somewhat a little perished, a little bit diminished within my physicality as she blends that little bit closer here. So for me, that would be my trigger and my understanding with spirit, to understand that there would have been a process building up to her passing. I don't feel that I want to say that she went spirit side instantaneously, you would understand. And there was that diminishment that started to take hold of her physical essence. Not that she's taken that spirit side with her, you would understand. It's just her way of giving us the evidence that you need to be able to validate that it's she. And you're answering yes, which is
Yes.
absolutely perfect there as well. The one thing that she's actually doing with me at this moment is she's been quite jovial. So I know there was a jovial side to her character here, Kaza. But she's been quite jovial here with me, and she keeps poking me in my ear. She keeps playing with my ear. So I know that I have to say to you, you've got to have a good level of understanding with regards to what it is that you're hearing. So spiritually, you must be evolving. you must be developing. And I feel I need to be working or focusing or honing on the clairaudience side of your understandings here, please, my lovely. So do let me know if that sits well with you and you can understand why she's just done what she did there with me. You know, I know with her as well that she gives me a great sense of wanting to say to you that she's very proud of the way that you've actually coped and you've actually gripped hold of the mechanics of your mindset since her passing, because I know that this has been somewhat of a battle. And look, at the end of the day, I know that sounds quite cliche, because most people will have that battle with their own mindsets of coping. But for you, she gives me a great understanding that there's more to it, and that you've really had to work hard in order to process and understand and get yourself on a very good even pegging with regards to starting to move forwards into the future. Yes, you are developing. Perfect. Fantastic. I know with her as well that she just gives me a sense of wanting to say to you, it's okay to change the dynamics of the four walls. So for me, my feel into that is that there's a move, or there's a sense of understanding about moving, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, you know, the memories are always upstairs in the filing cabinet. You can't take the physical elements with you. So if there's a move on the cards, or you've been toying with this idea, or you've been deviating, now's the time to start getting things into fruition and start getting them going. Can you also understand as well, please, Kaza, just before I start wrapping your message up here, darling, can you also understand that there would have been issues with regards to Suzanne being able to convey or being able to get her words out towards the end of her earthly life, because she's just making me trip over my tongue somewhat here. So for me, that would always be an understanding that we struggled with regards to getting those last words out, or being able to speak those last words, or B, the words that were spoken towards the end were more sincere and heartfelt than what you'd ever experienced within that time frame of your lives together. Again, please do let me know how that sits with you, but that's what it is that she shared with me. To finalize your, she's still chatting away to me, Alice, sorry. She's bringing in, I'm just saying to her, I've got to send you back off up to the angels there, my darling. Can you please give me a present to leave for Kaza before we send you back off up to the angels? And she's brought forward one of those multicolored spiral lollipops, all of the beautiful rainbow colors within this lollipop. But I'm hearing We Are the Lollipop Kids coming from the Wizard of Oz. So I feel I need to bring in the essence and the understanding of the Wizard of Oz as a memory link, connection, association that would sit well between Kaza and Suzanne as well. So Kaza, please, again, do let me know if that sits well with you there, my lovely. I'm going to leave her love with you. So God bless you. And thank you so much for allowing me to make a connection with you this evening.
Ah, lovely, lovely. We just had someone coming on there trying to do a little scam on it. So I was just removing. So
yeah, they're always you know, that is the most annoying thing when we do Facebook lives, the spammers and the scammers and everything else. Just block and delete.
I know. Yeah, well, yeah, Kaza's just thanking you for
You're
that.
welcome, my lovely.
So that you're very welcome. Yeah, so who is this? Tracy, is it? Thank you. Oh, open to receiving a message, please, if drawn. Okay. It's great though, you know, I've seen your work, but it's great if you haven't seen your work. Sorry, this is falling apart behind me. Can you see it?
Only a little bit.
For anybody listening, Yeah, I've got wicker coming round me, but it's kind of falling down a little bit. But never mind, we're all right. I'm still here. Only just. Yeah. Yeah. So that was lovely. That was really nice. Yeah. And it's good to be able to do that, be able to give a message. I'm having a lot of laughs here because of this thing. Nearly falling on my head. Okay. If anybody's got any questions, or if you feel drawn to another message, feel free.
Do you know, Alice? Like,
yeah.
I want to differentiate between a mediumistic message, which has just been shared,
Yes,
and a psychic. And
yeah,
a
because there is a
psychic, okay?
difference.
Because
Yeah.
I felt a psychic draw to Tracy Hand.
Okay. That's
and
Tracy.
it was just by that profile picture that she placed up there, which I think is a fox.
Yeah, she's just having a laugh at me there. That's just okay.
It's a fox with a
that's the wrong
waggly
one.
tail. Do you know,
Yeah.
the first thing that I was blending in and getting a sense or compelled to wanting to say is, Tracy Hand, what is it that you've got in your hand? And I want to look and see cards here. I want to see like oracle cards, or I want to see tarot cards. So I feel, as I'm blending in on that psychic vibration, which is just like my energies blending with Tracy's, even though she's not here within the physical. Again, I'm just trusting where I'm going with this. I want to put a deck of cards into Tracy's hands, and I want to encourage and I want to nurture here as well, please. I get a great understanding as I kind of like just tap into my own consciousness there with Tracy as well, that yes, tarot cards and oracle cards, I'm not very good at it. There we go. So we need to get them back in the hand, and we need to start going in somewhat a little bit deeper there for you. But it's really strange as well, Alice, because as I've just read that, I've had like the nighttime sky drop into my mind, and I've had astral travel. I want to go into dream state here with you, please, Tracy. There must be reoccurrence of dreams, or you must be getting some type of indicators whilst you're in that mode of not quite fully in sleep and not quite fully awake, and you're getting repetitive messages or repetitive scenarios. Mediumship has opened up recently as well, which is fantastic. Can you take this repetition with regards to the dream state that I just feel that I wanted to connect in with you? You really remember my dreams. There we go. And this isn't spirit giving me this guidance. This is me going in on that psychic feel just by looking at Tracy's name and looking at that profile picture. So again, that just gives us somewhat a little bit of evidence with regards to all those that are maybe joining here this evening that are developing. Trust what it is that you're getting and go with it. You know, sometimes we will always over analyze, and we'll let the conscious mind kick in, and that takes over, and then we might not necessarily say something that we sense, we feel, and then it happens, and then you say, oh well, I knew that was going to happen, but you didn't give it when you should have. So that's just a classic example of making sure that you sit within your confidence and you give what you get.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah. Got a little comment coming up. Oh,
perfect.
Here we are. There. Self-doubt and trust issues and abilities. That's all right.
That's just come off of the back of what I've just was compelled to say there. So obviously you need confidence, and that will happen over time, Tracy. Again, you know, making sure that you're sat within the right circle, the right development, with the right mentors that will give you that confidence and self-belief. But ultimately, it's our own responsibility to trust what it is that Spirit gives to us. And once you do that, you'll fly.
It's also, Bill, it's also getting the right mentor or tutor for you as well. And it can be, you know, maybe you need someone who's a little bit more genteel, a little bit more softer approach, and you know, maybe that's wonderful, that's great, that's lovely, just to build your confidence up. But then as you progress more, then you will go to someone who will give it to you straight. Do you want to be a medium? Do you want to be a good medium? Or do you want to be a really good medium? And that's the difference, you know. And that can be tricky because then you get that training that you've not had before, which can be tough training. But at the end of it, it gives you the discipline of mediumship. It also gives you a better understanding of yourself, and how you have been scared to move forward, you know. And once you break that barrier, then you have extended that foot forward, and you'll keep going forward until you find that block again that you have to deal with yourself. And working on yourself, I'm sure you agree, Bill, is very important. We've all got to still work on ourselves.
Goodness,
you know?
I mean, if we've not repaired ourselves, if our mindset and our physical body isn't in a good place, how can we be expected to help heal others? Because let's not forget the essence of mediumship. Mediumship is all about bringing the love and the healing to that recipient. So if we're not in a good place, then we shouldn't be practicing. That's my opinion. That's my view. That's you know, that's some might think differently, and that's fine. Everybody, you know, thinks and feels differently. But for me as well, it's really important to emphasize the fact to anybody that's going through this journey of learning. One thing I always emphasize with anybody that sits development with me is the power of words. We have the power to either uplift or to destroy. So we have to be very conscious of what it is that we are conveying, that spirits share with us. But we also have to be disciplined in the right context with the right mentors, as you said, Alice.
That's right.
And sit within a certain period of time before we start going out and practicing.
Yeah, and I think you know yourself though, because you can be with a mentor for a few years, and then all of a sudden you feel you're grateful for the teaching, you're very grateful, but then you feel a little bit stuck, and you don't know why. You know, and it's not because that mentor's no good. That mentor has been excellent and helped you so much, but it's you that's changing. It's you that's changing, and it's you that's actually, without realizing it, looking for more, looking to progress more, and maybe in a different way, because not everybody wants to be a platform medium. Not everybody enjoys doing private readings, but they like platform. And other people, they prefer actually doing trance mediumship, and then it maybe takes you on that road of going to a trance medium teacher. You know, so it's finding what's right for you. You know,
absolutely. 100%. And I always liken it to our school days. We weren't with the same teacher throughout all of those years of our schooling education, and our mediumship is no different. As you rightly said, you will go so far with one mentor, and you will feel the need and the compulsion to be able to move on, so that you're pushed and you're stretched, because the last thing that we want as a medium is to become complacent. I still want it now. I still say to spirit, give me more, please, give me more. Sometimes I ask them too much to give me too much more, and I'm up on platform thinking, are you for real? But you know, we have to continuously just keep pushing. I'm still looking for that next mentor for me to go and sit with, but because I'm out there and I'm a serving medium, that doesn't mean to say that I can't no longer sit in the classroom. I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
go in with some of the hardcore teachers that are going to say to me, no, go back and tell me more, you know,
Yeah.
and push me and make me hone in and appreciate and understand and learn more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
probably
No, I
boring
understand.
everybody.
No, you're not at all. I understand that because I was on a workshop there at the weekend. You know, I hadn't been on one for quite some time, and I really was wanting to, but just wasn't having the time to do it.
Yeah.
And this slotted in, and I went, and I'm really glad I did, because it doesn't matter where you are in your mediumship, spirit will push you on something else you haven't tried before. And there was something specific that I learned about it. So it's good learning, and I enjoyed it. And I'll do a bit of name dropping here. It was with Minister Janet Parker, and she's a lovely lady. And I kind of needed that little bit of healing as well, you know, just for me a little bit, along with a bit of progression on my own mediumship, you know. So you get what you need, you know, and I feel really much better for it. I feel so much better for it, you know. So you do it when it's right, you know. Although I wanted to do it like you for quite a while, and I still want to do more. You know, I'm doing some training at the moment, but I want to do more and more and more. I want to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I want to just suck it all in here, you know, and you know, yeah. Yeah, I think
It's a continuing process, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we could go on for hours talking about the scenarios of learning and what it is that we've picked up. I mean, a classic example, and I don't know if this has happened with you, but it would be good to have your opinion on it. When you first started developing as a medium, and then you first went out there onto public platform, did you find that Spirit gave you what was comfortable for you to convey at that particular time? And let me elaborate on that. So I'm finding now, as I'm evolving and I'm understanding and I'm learning more with Spirit, that they'll start dropping in some of the more challenging aspects of how people passed over to Spirit. So I might get children, I might get babies, I might get people that took their earthly lives. Whereas I didn't get that initially, because I think Spirit were kind of like prepping us, and they, you know, they were like, right, this is the milestone that you have to reach, that you have to get comfortable within before we drop the next bit in there for you. And it's almost like they're placing it within timing. You're ready now, so you can have this. Bang.
That's right.
There's the next part.
That's right. Because if I had been given that back then, I would have been no good to the sitter, because I would have been too upset, you know. And it's not that I still don't feel. I do still feel. But I feel in a controlled way, where I'm controlling it. I'm controlling my emotions to bring in what is needed from spirit world, instead of letting my own emotions run away with it and then lose that power from spirit world. And that's the difference, you know. And they know when you're ready. They know. I think they're amazing. I think they're amazing, and I think we're very lucky, you know, to do what we do. But in saying that, I don't like it when people say, "Oh, so you've got the gift." I'm sorry, but I don't like that, because I'll say, well, we've all got that gift. It's where you are on your journey. Because we're all spirit coming into this world, living in the physical body.
Absolutely.
You know, and we all come in our own, we all leave in our own, you know, and we go back home to spirit world. We all have that gift, you know. It's just whether you're using it on your own journey in life. Don't you agree with me on that, or do you think different?
No, I totally agree with you. 100%.
Yeah. So, do you know, I think it's been great having you on. I've loved it, absolutely loved it. And I enjoyed it when I was on your show as well. You made me feel so welcome. You made me, and you will be very much missed in SPTV, because you're a huge part of it, Bill. You're a huge part of it, and you're you know, I love watching you, and you're so inspiring. But you know what I like about you, Bill? Do you know, you've not got the ego. Do you know, my darling, you don't have that ego. You've got enough ego to make you do what you're doing, because we need a little bit of ego to do that.
100%.
But you've not got it in a negative way, and that's what I love about watching you. You know, yeah, I really do. And you know, this is where I also feel students, you know, they know what teacher they want to go to. I've watched him or I've watched her, and I want to learn a bit more about that. Anybody listening, and you've got that little hunch about someone, then follow it. Follow that gut feeling. Follow that your own intuition in it, because it is important. Yeah. Yeah, Joanne has just said, hopefully catch you on here again soon. Oh yeah, I'll be chasing him. I'll be asking, how did Austria go? Right, okay, part 2. How did Austria go? Like, I've not been to Austria. Yeah.
I would quite happily come back to have a further discussion and to reconnect with some of the lovelies that have been holding space with us here this evening.
Yeah, I'd love you to come back on. I really would.
Thank you.
And this is new to me, so I'm learning it all. So I'm still working on the music. So excuse the music not being great, but it'll get better. It'll get better. I'm working it out. It could have been worse. I could have been singing, Bill. It
can't be any worse than my singing, Alice. So there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on tonight. And can I just, before we go, you do have a show coming up in Christmas, is that correct? When is that again?
With SPTV.
The Christmas one, yeah.
Yep,
you're going to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two Christmas schedules on SPTV. The first date is the 30th of November, and then the 14th of December. And I'm sure there will be a familiar face that will be joining on that particular night.
I know who that is.
I wonder. It'll be lovely to hold space. It'll be lovely to hold space with you again. And you know what? You'll be part of my last show at SPTV. So who could ask for more? Hey, Alice.
Oh, that's lovely, Bill. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming on with everybody. I'm really looking forward to it. And particularly if it is your last one as well. So that even makes it even extra special. You're going to get me all emotional now, you know.
Crikey, I've got to try and hold it together that night.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I do understand. Yeah.
But I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. You know, I've had 3.5 amazing years. It's time to step to one side. Give somebody else the opportunity. Give somebody else the time slot. It's been a huge part of my growth, and I will be forever grateful to Richard for giving me that opportunity.
That's right.
And all of you fabulous mediums that have joined the show and made it what it is.
Yeah, this is it. You know, you get people on your journey as well. It's like Paul Bannister, he gave me that opportunity when I was on Spiritual Talk TV. You know, yes. So he gave me that, and it's helped me do what I'm doing here, because I want to get it out there in the world that, you know, hey, you know, we're all connected, to, you know, and let's help each other, and let us bring that love from spirit world through, you know. So yeah, people that you meet do move you on in whatever path you're meant to be on, and then it cuts it away whenever you're meant to be doing something else as well. So I agree with you on that. It's lovely. It's really nice. Yeah. David, somebody said David Hale should get the 8 p.m. slot.
I've not even gone in there filling the slot.
Oh, I know.
What's all that about?
I know, terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you know, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And also thank you, everybody, tonight for coming on to the show. Remember, please like and share, subscribe. It's free. It just helps. It helps a lot. You know, we're getting the word out as well, you know, because you can't have it's like churches and centres. You can never have enough. And it's the same with chat shows, spiritual talks, you know, TV, spiritual talk shows. You can never have enough, you know.
Absolutely.
But if we can all help together, then that's what the world should be about, helping each other move on and helping each
100%,
other.
100%.
Yeah.
Having one another's backs.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Bill. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Alice.
And I will now say to everybody, good night. Safe journey home, I was going to say, but you're not got a safe journey home because you're at home. I'm not used to saying that at the centre, you see. So so stay safe. Look after yourself and each other. And with that, I am now going to place a little piece of music that will come with this.
Bless.
Hopefully.